Hello and welcome to a new episode of Tech Talk on Trust TV, where we talk technology. This week, we'll be taking a closer look at the evolution and impact of digital advertising. Joining me on the program for expert opinion is Precious Nwosu, a tech expert. Before we begin, let's take a report on today's topic of discussion. My name is Dorcas Yakubu Zallah. You're watching Tech Talk on Trust TV. In the modern era, digital advertising has become a cornerstone of the marketing landscape, revolutionizing how businesses reach their audiences. The internet, mobile devices, and social media have created an entirely new ecosystem for advertisers, enabling them to target consumers with unprecedented precision and scale. Digital advertising began to take shape in the mid-1990s as the internet started to become more mainstream. The launch of platforms like Google and Yahoo brought online search advertising to the forefront. Banner ads on websites were among the first forms of digital advertising, but these early attempts were far less targeted than the ads we see today. As internet technology improved, advertisers realized the potential of using data to customize their messages and make them more relevant to individual users. The true game changer came with the advent of social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly Twitter, which introduced new ways to target consumers based on their behaviors, interests, and demographics. Today, digital advertising has expanded across a wide range of channels, including display ads, search engine marketing, social media marketing, video ads, and even influencer partnerships. As technology continues to advance, the future of digital advertising looks incredibly promising. Innovations such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and augmented reality are already beginning to reshape the landscape. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining in, this is Tech Talk on Trust TV, and we now have Precious Nwosu in the studio with us to give us expert opinion on today's topic of discussion. You're very much welcome to the program, Precious.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's start with knowing what the topic of discussion is, which is digital advertising. Okay. What is digital advertising in simple terms?
Well, digital advertising is getting seen, getting heard right from where you are. So unlike traditional advertising, digital advertising, you can show your product or services to people right from where you are to anyone, even across the globe.
So how has digital advertising evolved over the years in Nigeria?
Okay, in Nigeria, digital advertising has evolved with the advent of new tech devices. And new policies in place. In the past, advertising would just be like flyers and images, but recently a lot of devices and media platforms have evolved to social reels, videos, so and that is what sells, because it has become more engaging, more interactive. So for me, I think that counts as evolution for advertising.
Let's talk about the Nigerian market. Are there specific strategies that you think work more for Nigerian businesses when it comes to digital advertising? Because I'm just guessing. Is it true that what works for A doesn't work for B when it comes to digital advertising?
That is very correct, because as an advertising executive, I've had the privilege to advertise to people within this continent, outside the continent, different countries, across different industries. So I can tell you that if you want to sell to a Nigerian, you need to think like a Nigerian, because Nigerians are, our climb is somehow. So a lot of people are skeptical. There are lots of fraudulent activities, especially in our climb. You may want to buy something from somebody and end up getting ripped. So I think that if you want to sell to a Nigerian, one of the things you need to do is to think like a Nigerian, because Nigerians are very skeptical. Myself, I could see an advert and I look at it, I'm interested, I'm the target market, I'm the audience, but I don't want to buy, because even last week I paid for a pair of shoes. I saw an advert, paid for a pair of shoes, and turns out the person blocked me.
Wow.
So it's like that. So even sometimes with due diligence, this is someone that, you go to their page, you've seen a lot of activities, there is a track record, but it still happens. So these are some of the challenges. So if you want to sell to a Nigerian, you need to start thinking of how to, build their confidence. There is a KPI that we know as the KLT factor, where people need to know you, like you, and trust you. So regardless of advertising, I think it's important that you build trust, because your target market needs to know that you really care about them more than just selling. So for advertising and for many business owners, I think you're not just selling, you should look at it as helping.
It's almost impossible to, tell from the fake and the real vendors, because you are an expert in this field and you still got scammed. Are there any, special things that you want people to look out for when trying to purchase things online? Because the scammers are increasing day by day.
True. It's still the same thing that I would do, that I would still tell anybody. I think it's important that you still look out for track record, look out for how long they've been doing these things, look out for testimonials, look out for authenticity, because there are so many brands that we just see them because of the aesthetics of their page, their branding, and you just feel like they are unique, they are authentic. But I think you should really do some research. Even this morning, I think I saw someone who went the extra mile to make a research on Google about an advert she saw. And there are metrics from Trustpilot and some other websites that you can use to verify reviews, to see if these people are genuine. Even Waka Now. Sometimes when I want to use Waka Now, initially when I wanted to use Waka Now, I needed to do a review, and I saw some people say so many things. So this would help you. Reviews, track records will help you to evade some of these pitfalls.
So now let's talk about the challenges that advertisers face when they run, ad campaigns online. Are there instances where you spend a lot of money and then the views are there, but the market is not there? How would, advertisers, how would they leverage this challenge and make something good out of it?
Okay, in my experience, this is very common. That is what distinguishes me as an advertising executive from a lot of advertisers. In fact, recently, one of the reasons I was in Abuja was, Gotney, Guardian of the Nation International. So my team, we wanted to help them, in strategic planning for advertising. The problem that a lot of businesses have had over the years is targeting. Sometimes you do all of the targeting and you still end up getting a lot of views but no conversion. And, advertising is 90% technicality and just 10% psychology.
Okay.
10% technicality, sorry, and 90% psychology, because any Tom, Dick, and Harry can just go online and watch one YouTube video, set up an ad. But the psychology is where the work is. The creativity is where the work is. Your message. If you know how to tailor your message to the heart of your audience, even the ad copy you use. When we write ad copies, there are things we look out for: the pain point, the call to action, the caption. So all of these things have a role to play. The video, we call them creatives, the ad creatives that you use, they have a role to play. Because let me give you an instance. You go to a market, you see there are lines where they sell particular things like clothing lines, utensil lines. So when you go to a particular line, everybody there is selling the same thing, but you're looking out for the one that your heart agrees with, and most of the time is majorly their branding, their packaging, and all of that. So it's the same thing in advertising. 3-5 people may be advertising the same thing, but the one that tailors their message well, the one that invests more in their ad creatives and flyers and videos that are compelling, they have a way of appealing to your emotions. So I think these are some of the challenges that people face when it comes to targeting, ad copies, ad creatives. They make a lot of mistakes there. So that's why they don't get good results. But if they can sort out all of these things, they'll get better results.
So how important is mobile advertising in Nigeria, considering the fact that virtually everybody has a mobile phone?
That is the truth, because 80% of Nigerians they use mobile devices,
or even more than that.
Or even more than that. So I think that it is important that we digital advertisers leverage this opportunity, because a lot of people, they have their phones handy in the vehicle on their way to work. Most people, when they wake up, the first thing they want to look at is their phone. Myself, I do it sometimes even before I say my prayers. So but it's important that advertisers, digital advertisers, business owners can leverage these things. It will be very profitable. It tends to be very profitable, the mobile devices.
So now let's talk about influencers. You agree with me that influencers are playing a very crucial role when it comes to, advertising. So many brands have worked with influencers. How impactful are they to, selling out your product compared to traditional modes of advertising?
Well, influencers have a role to play as much as your brand persona has a role to play. Before you pick out an influencer, you should be looking at, does this influencer align with my brand personality? Do they align with my brand message?
And the followers of that influencers, would they even patronize what you're selling?
So when you're looking out for influencers, it's important that you niche down, you understand? So just like we were, Gotni is a leadership hub, one of the biggest leadership hubs in Africa. So, and we're looking at getting a brand ambassador. So if we're going to be looking for an influencer to serve as a brand ambassador, we will be looking at young people who are passionate about leadership. So that is niching down. And when you have, because using influencers helps to build the authenticity, relativity, people can relate to them, people trust them,
but
people have known them.
There are so many instances where influencers actually put out a product or whatever online, and at the end of the day it turned out to be a scam.
That is
we see so many of these betting platforms, these meme coins and all of that. So how do we distinguish the good and the bad?
It still boils down to personality, because with the rise of all of these things, even influencers are not, they cannot be exonerated. As an influencer, before you pick a brand to work with, you're supposed to do your due diligence, because
some of them don't care. They
most
just
of the
go
time,
for the money.
Oh no, for real, most of the time they don't even know that these people are out to scam. You understand? So at the end of the day, it just happens, and then they rock pull, and their followers get to suffer, the damages. So, but it's important that both influencers and brand owners do their due diligence before they pick any job, gig, or any influencer to promote a particular brand or product.
I'd like us to talk about the regulatory landscape of digital advertising in Nigeria. Are there any regulations, and what are some of these regulations that digital advertisers or marketers should look out for?
There is the Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, APCON, and they're doing a great job regulating what we put out there. In fact, one time, the first time that I've known them, like I work with them, but the first time they reached out to me was on Instagram. So I put out a flyer, and somebody reached out to me from APCON and said, this flyer you put out, have you gotten this documentation, this verification? So they are doing a great job regulating these things. So they have eyes everywhere. Before, in fact, right now, presently, before you put out an advert, the advert is supposed to pass through APCON. So they are going to review your advert. You're going to pay a certain fee, I think whether 20,000 or 80,000, I'm not sure now. But they're going to review your adverts to make sure that it does not breach cultural beliefs or political beliefs, so that you don't incite violence or trouble with your product and your offer. So yeah, they are doing a great job with policy regulations and data privacy.
What about these softwares that are just emanating every day? We have AI, we have people that just set their ring lights and their phones, and they say all manner of things, convincing people to either patronize them or saying they offer a particular service. So what do you think can be done to sort of regulate this?
Well, the social media platforms as well are working tirelessly. Like on Facebook, Instagram, there are some kind of adverts that will never fly. Even crypto adverts, betting platform adverts, health niches. If you know people in health niches, they will tell you most of the time they put out their adverts and their adverts are restricted. So the Meta platform do not want people to put out certain kinds of adverts that make other people feel like they are not doing enough. Let's say, for example, you're putting out an advert for a health niche, and in your advert you're making it look like you're kind of like body shaming people because you want to promote a particular drug. If they read in between your ad copies and find those things, your advert will be restricted. So in as much as we cannot immediately curtail everybody, but I think they are doing a good job so far.
Now, take for example, I want to run a successful ad campaign. What are those necessary things that I need to do in order for it to be successful?
The first thing you need to do is a research. You need to do a research on who your target audience are, their demographics, their social class, their age group. There are data all over. So even that is why you see artificial intelligence, you can use it for positive things and for negative things, but it's important that people leverage it for positive and productive things, because with artificial intelligence you have access to information, so you can do some intensive research on who the target audience are, what are their interests, what places do they go, what demographic do they belong to, what are their age bracket, and when you do that, you've done one part of the job. Then the next thing you need to focus on is to tailor your message to make sure that it relates to your audience, because people will buy from you if they can relate to your story. In the same way, if you just put out a post on social media, you see that once people can relate to that story, they begin to share that post, or they begin to save it for later, or they even drop a comment, they engage because they can relate. So if you can implement the same thing in your advertising, it will help the algorithm to push out your advert more. Sometimes there are people that run an advert, and regardless of the money they invest in that advert, the algorithm doesn't push it out.
Why?
Because they feel like people are not relating to this thing. So it's just like you're selling something that people do not want, and you are in a crowded place and nobody is paying attention to you. It will make you to raise your voice more. You want to shout so that more people can get attention. But if you're selling what people want, the moment you open your mouth, everybody will circle around you, and you won't even have to speak so loud. It will be selling. So it's the same thing in advertising. If your message is not relatable, your ad copy, your ad creatives are not compelling, nobody is going to pay attention to what you're marketing, even if they are your audience. So after you've done your research, you create your copies, you create your ad creatives, and make sure that they are very compelling enough that people cannot resist. You understand? It appeals to their emotions, and it's maybe a form of a little comic relief here and there, entertaining here and there. You're going to be able to at least trigger some emotions and get a good result on your adverts.
Amazing. So what impact has digital advertising had on traditional methods of advertising, like radio? We have TV, newspaper, magazines, and all of that. When we were younger, that was what was actually that was what people were using to advertise at the time. But right now we have digital advertising. People no longer bother to use the old traditional ways of advertising. Do you think there's hope for digital, for traditional, ad methods?
Yes, digital advertising cannot completely kill traditional advertising because, of course, we're on TV, and millions of people are going to be watching. So I think that one can work with the other. One cannot work with the other because this whole thing, although we are in a transitionary phase where the whole thing is going from
analog to digital, traditional to digital,
Gen Y to Gen Z, Gen X to Gen Y to Gen Z. So the whole thing is transitioning, but the truth still remains that those that even have the buying power are still people, elderly people who do not really pay much attention to social media. I'm relating now directly to Nigerian markets. So, and there are still some rural areas that they don't really have 24-hour lights. They don't have lights to watch TV, to use their mobile devices, but they can see billboards. They can see billboards. So those things will help even the digital advertising, because if I see a billboard and then I come online and I see the adverts, it will strengthen my confidence to say, okay, for these people to put a billboard, they are genuine, they are authentic. So I think both of them can work hand in hand, and they are still very much effective. There are thousands of radio listeners up till date. So yeah.
Okay, so as a digital advertiser, take for example, I bring a product to you and I want you to market it to every audience in Nigeria. Is that possible? Because I know earlier you spoke about having a target audience. What if my audience is the whole of Nigerians, from old people to young people? I want that ad campaign to reach everybody. Is that possible?
It is very possible. It's very possible because just like I mentioned, even in as much as there are targeted audiences, those are setups. So you can choose to target a particular group of people, or you choose not to target at all and just leave it. We call it broad audience. So we just allow the thing to just fly and everybody can, access it. So I think it's possible to reach a broader audience without specific targeting.
Okay. So finally, what advice do you have for an aspiring digital marketer in Nigeria?
Well, if you're an aspiring digital marketer, I think you should take it seriously because first things first, there is money in digital advertising. And secondly, as long as businesses continue to, evolve and, businesses are born every day, new businesses are coming up, advertising will never go extinct, because a lot of people will continue to look for ways to promote their businesses. In fact, a lot of industries are getting saturated. And because a lot of industries are getting saturated, everybody needs a voice. The world is like a marketplace. So if you want to be heard, you need to scream. So if you're an aspiring digital marketer or digital advertiser, advertising is the way to go. Because for me, I'm not an influencer. I don't even have so many followers. But whatever I want to promote, I promote it. I've been here promoted for people outside Nigeria, UK, US, Qatar, Canada, South Africa, Ghana, a whole lot. So I've been able to reach audiences. In fact, I run a project called the African Emerging Leaders Network, and I was able to run an advert to get young leaders across 30 countries. And we connected, and we now have a community where we can, connect and discuss global issues bordering on leadership, economy, and a whole lot of beliefs and status quo. So with advertising, you can do a whole lot. You can promote for yourself. I have digital products, the ebooks on marketing. So I just put out those ebooks and promote them, and people buy right from the comfort of my home. I can target people in any country. So you can be in any country and reach people anywhere and make money and still build your impact. Most importantly.
Thank you so much, Precious Nwosu. It was really nice having you on the program.
It's a pleasure. It's a wonderful pleasure.
All right. We take a quick break, and when we return, we bring you tech tips. Do stay with us. Today on Tech Tips, we'll be giving you tips for optimizing your digital advertising efforts. Step 1. Leverage AI for personalization. Use AI-driven tools like machine learning algorithms to deliver more personalized ads. Tools like Google's Smart Bidding or Facebook's Dynamic Ads can adjust bids in real life and customize ad content based on user behavior. Step 2. Use retargeting ads. Retarget users who have interacted with your website or app but haven't converted. Platforms like Google Ads and Facebook offer powerful retargeting options that can bring back lost customers. Step 3. Optimize for mobile. Ensure your ads are mobile friendly. The majority of digital traffic now comes from mobile devices, so make sure your content and design look great on all screen sizes. Step 4. Track conversions accurately. Use conversion tracking tools like Google Tag Manager or Facebook Pixel to track and measure the effectiveness of your ads. These tools help optimize your campaigns and adjust strategies accordingly. Step 5. Utilize video content. Video ads are more engaging and have higher conversion rates compared to static image ads. Use platforms like YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram Stories to leverage video for best results. And finally, Step 6. Monitor ad frequency. Keep an eye on ad frequency to avoid oversaturating your audience. Too many impressions can lead to ad fatigue and decreased engagement. Use tools to monitor frequency and adjust campaigns accordingly. And that's a wrap on the program. Do well to follow us across all our social media platforms for more programs, news, and documentaries. My name is Dorcas Yakubu Zallah. Until next week, goodbye.